Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. This is the second international webinar that the Great Britain-Cyprus Business Association is organizing. It is a pleasure today to have all of you with us, but also it's my pleasure to be the moderator of this second webinar on behalf of Michael Kyprianou & Co. LLC, the third largest law firm in Cyprus with offices in 6 countries abroad. From rainy and cloudy Paphos, hello to everyone. Thank you for joining us today. As the topic that we're going to discuss is quite very interesting, and it's no other than buying or relocating to Cyprus. With me today, I have an excellent panel of people. Ex-Minister of Transport, Communication and Works of the Republic of Cyprus, Mrs. Vasiliki Anastasiadou. She's with us. I have the CEO at G. Kouzalis LLC, Mr. Giovannis Kouzalis. With us is also Mr. Charalambos Meivadzis, partner and head of tax, accounting and VAT at Kinanis LLC. Whereas we have Panagiotis Vladimiru, business development manager at Domenica Group. And last but not least, another lady who joined us, Mrs. Xenia Neofitou, who's the director at CX Financia Limited. I will present to you in a bit the topics that they will be talking about. And of course, I will say a few words about each of our speakers. But first, I would like the founder and CEO of the Great Britain-Cyprus Business Association, Mr. Savas Kyriakidis, to say a few words. Savas, the floor is yours.
Yeah, good. Thank you, Paola. Good afternoon from London. First of all, I would like to welcome and thank all the speakers, Mr. Kouzalis, Mrs. Anastasiadou, Mr. Meivadzis, Mr. Vladimiru, and Mrs. Neofitou. And I want also to welcome all the attendees. They will have to spend 1.5 hours with us. And I hope this presentation will be very useful for them, and they will enjoy our presentation. Finally, I would like to thank all our sponsors, Kouzalis Law Office, Domenica Group, Kinanis Law Firm, and CX Financia for their sponsorship. I really appreciate their support. I don't want to be long because all our speakers have more useful things to present. So thank you once again. Paula, all is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Savas. So we're going to start this second webinar with the topic Cyprus, a closer look. And our speaker is no other than Mrs. Vasiliki Anastasiadou. And allow me to say a few words about our former minister who studied law in Greece, and she gained also her LLM in European law at the University of Leicester. She was appointed as secretary to the parliamentary committees in the Parliamentary Committee Service of the House of Representatives, gradually rising through all the ranks of the service to become its chief secretary. Mrs. Vasiliki worked hard for the promotion of the parliamentary diplomacy, using successful implementation of the overall parliamentary work, as well as the support of all the activities of the House and its president. She was the administrative head of the staff of the House of Representatives, and she played a very important role with the contribution in revisioning the rules of procedure of the House of Representatives. Besides being an excellent personality, a great mother to a son and a daughter, and an amazing wife to a very creative husband, Mrs. Anastasiadou was promoted and she gained the position of minister. I have to mention some very significant reforms that she managed to do in public transportation, including the publication of the tender procedures for the new agreements for public transportation. And she also promoted the procedure for creating a new private agency owned by the state for providing air navigation services. And in general, she supported the upgrading and modernization of the civil aviation department. Since March 2020, she has been appointed by the Board of Directors of the Technical University of Cyprus as a member of the Board of Directors of the Eratosthenes Excellence Research Center for Earth Surveillance and Space-Based Monitoring of the Environment. Since 1st of June 2020, she has been appointed as an external member of the Council of the University of Cyprus upon selection by the Senate. She's the chairperson for the Personnel and Regulation Committees. And allow me to say that on a more active note, during her student years, she was a nationally acclaimed amateur singer, performing artistic songs and patriotic ballads influenced by the effects of the Turkish invasion in Cyprus. In 1977, she represented Cyprus in a song festival in Edmonton, Canada during the Commonwealth Games. So not only a politician, not only an amazing lady, but also a very creative person. Mrs. Anastasiadou, please open your microphone and we are ready for your speech.
Thank you very much, Paola, for your introduction and your good words. Dear friends, I would like to thank the Great Britain-Cyprus Business Association for inviting me to participate in this seminar, especially my dear friend Savas Kilekidis. I would love to be with you and have this conversation live. Unfortunately, the pandemic forces us to stay in our countries and avoid travel as much as possible. However, here in Cyprus, this gave us another chance to realize how lucky we are to be stranded on this very special island. In the summer, we discovered the many beauties of our island, the countless clean beaches, the beautiful picturesque landscapes. We became tourists in our own country and discovered many beautiful places that visitors in our country may sometimes know better than us. Byzantine churches, monasteries, archaeological treasures, ancient theaters, geophysical parks, traditional villages, good food and quality food. We also visited our mountainous areas, which are always cool, even on the hottest days of summer, and where you can find beautiful accommodation with modern comforts in an environment where the passage of time seems slower, reminding us of a more peaceful age. And do not assume that these trips within our country take a long time. It may take around 1.5 hours for someone to travel from the city or the sea to our mountainous areas. And I must say that we have a very good road network in Cyprus. We have modern roads that connect the cities with each other and also with the ports and airports, while a road network that connects the cities with the countryside and the mountains is constantly being modernized. As for the consequences of the pandemic, let me first say that we face the situation both as a government and as a people, methodically and with a lot of composure. The government, based on the advice of a strong team of Cypriot epidemiological scientists, took timely measures which fortunately were followed by the people consistently. So we are in a good position compared to other countries in terms of the number of cases and loss of lives. Of course, Cyprus is now facing the force of a second wave, but we expect that the newly enforced measures will face it successfully. However, no one can be complacent since the problem is global and will be solved only with a vaccine. Our health system, although it is in the early stages of its implementation in the form of a general health plan, has proven capable of meeting both the additional needs of the coronavirus and the usual needs of the population. Of course, when all this is over, we will all be able to travel to and from Cyprus. Under normal circumstances, Larnaca International Airport, together with Paphos Airport, connects Cyprus with 110 destinations in Europe and the Middle East. Even in this difficult period, there is relatively sufficient connectivity with 60 destinations. In fact, there's a prospect of much greater connectivity, and the state is working towards increasing it with some incentive plans for airlines in cooperation with a government partner of the airport, Hermes Airport. In addition, the country has a large modern port in Limassol, which is successfully managed by 3 internationally renowned companies: Eurogate Container Terminal Limassol Limited, P&O Maritime Cyprus Limited, and DP World Limassol Limited, so that it can be used both commercially and to accommodate large cruise ships. There is also a modern and very attractive marina in Limassol, and the development of 2 more marinas in Paralimni and Ayanapa is in the pipeline. Next year, the reconstruction and development of the port and marina of Larnaca will begin by the consortium Elderman Holding BV and Alexandru Corporate Services Limited. Finally, the planning for the 3rd port in Cyprus is progressing, with the expansion of the existing port in Vasiliko, which will be transformed into a mainly industrial port and will cover the needs that will arise from the exploitation of hydrocarbons. It is ideal for businesses to have their headquarters in Cyprus and to develop their activities in any continent they wish. It is true that Cyprus, located at the crossroads of 3 continents, is one of the safest and most prosperous countries in the region, and ideal for anyone to live and work. First of all, there is obvious and unique physical security. One can still leave their house and leave their garage open. Children play in the yards and in the neighborhood like in the good old days. People are friendly and hospitable, and neighbors know each other. There are excellent schools for children of all ages, public and private. The foreign language schools are of high quality and have excellent standards. We have 3 public and at least 7 private universities with excellent performance and ratings. The University of Cyprus, which is public, and the University of Nicosia, which is private, have been evaluated among the 1,000 best in the world. We have a modern legal system with a lot of influence from the British common law, but also enriched by the modern legislation of European Union. As a member state of the European Union, we are in line with the European law, and we are evolving according to its course and evolution. We are a modern European state where rule of law prevails, and we recognize all the principles and values of the Union. We maintain legal security and political security, something very rare for the states of our region. Significant partnerships and synergies have been cultivated and developed in many areas with neighboring countries in the region, such as Israel, Egypt, and Jordan. At the same time, we belong to the Commonwealth since we were an English colony for years. That is why many elements of our internal government or even our society share similarities with their English counterparts, even though physically we are on the edge of the Eastern Mediterranean. Many Cypriots study or are graduates of British universities, and there is a very friendly and familiar culture for the British who wish to visit or be active on our island. The country's banking system has been fully restored after the financial crisis of 2013, and control and accountability mechanisms have been introduced so as not to repeat the mistakes of the past. The state of our economy until the beginning of the pandemic was evolving very satisfactorily. The Cyprus economy has been expanding rapidly, and robust growth rates averaging 4.41% between 2015 to 2018. The island was among the top 5 Eurozone performers in 2018, with an impressive growth of 3.9% compared to a Eurozone average of 1.9%. Undoubtedly, the consequences of the pandemic have affected the Cypriot economy and its, until recently, good performance. However, with the measures taken by the government in combination with the financial support it receives from the EU, it is expected to enter a recovery trajectory within 2021 and return to the levels of 2019. Having in mind all the above, Cyprus remains an ideal place for investing. Cyprus' comparative advantages, which have established it as a major center for international business, amongst others, include an attractive corporate taxation of 12.5%, an extensive network of 65 double tax treaties, a highly skilled and professional workforce, modern infrastructure, and a unique geographical location, which provides easy access not only to European markets, but also to those of North Africa, the Middle East, the Gulf region, and Asia. Due to some serious amendments of the legislation regarding the immovable property transfer fees, the environment has become very appealing for investing in the real estate sector. Furthermore, a number of various reforms are being promoted in order to further improve the business and investment environments, including a tax incentives package for investment to innovative companies, a new law to fast-track licensing procedures for large investments, reforming of the judiciary system, implementing a national strategy for blockchain technology, and introducing 5G, as well as introducing significant reforms in the public sector. I'm sure that the speakers from the law firms will elaborate on the tax incentives further. As for the investment program in combination with the acquisition of a citizenship, it has been very recently abolished by the government due to the gaps and weaknesses it had, which resulted in abuses. It is therefore about time to focus on more genuine, long-term, and mutually beneficial investments, such as renewable energy sources, technology, research and innovation, startup industry, health and education, not excluding, of course, immovable property. Besides that, our government has taken the right steps in recent years to proceed with the exploitation of hydrocarbon in the exclusive economic zone. For this purpose, our country started cooperation with international energy giants, such as Eni, Total, Noble, and ExxonMobil. These moves have broadened the prospects of our country's economy. Certainly, around the hydrocarbon industry, there is a need for a lot of additional support or complementary services that will strengthen the labor market and entrepreneurship. The future is optimistic for Cyprus, with the only shadow being the consequences of the pandemic. However, the current trajectory shows that we are dealing with it effectively. So, do not hesitate to use Cyprus either for investments, businesses in general, relocating, or even for an exploratory visit. What never changes in Cyprus is the character of its people, who are true professionals, but at the same time hospitable and warm, something that they have in their DNA, but also something that is cultivated by the ideal conditions that prevail in our country. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Anastasiadou. Spot on and right on time. Thank you very much. Our next speaker is not only a CEO, a director, and a senior lawyer, but he's also a father and a loving husband. I'm talking, of course, about Mr. Giovanni Skouzalis, who obtained his LLB law degree in Sheffield University, and then he had his MA in International Comparative and Business Law from London Guildhall University. He has a wealth of experience in Cyprus property law, and he always works with the value that every client matters because we care. That's what he always says. Following his passion in teaching and offering to the young minds of Cyprus, he proceeded to embark a teaching career. That is why he's in his third year as an associate lecturer at Cyprus University, teaching Cyprus property law, and I'm sure he has a lot of interesting things to tell us about his young students and the interaction he has the opportunity to have with them. Mr. Kouzalis is also a member of the local chambers of commerce and industry in Cyprus, and he's an active member of the parents associations in Larnaca and Cyprus as well. Mr. Kouzalis, on behalf of G. Kouzalis LLC, will speak to us about how to avoid pitfalls when purchasing property in Cyprus. Mr. Kouzalis, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We are here to discuss the major pitfalls that yours, our clients, need to avoid when purchasing a property in Cyprus and how to ensure that all transactions move forward smoothly. I will cover 10 topics as fast as I can. Seeking a specialist, due diligence, land registry, financial and banking issues, hidden costs, reservation fee, transparency, Cyprus wills, avoid issues and probate, be proactive, management of projects, committee rules and regulations, and the title deeds. Appointing a lawyer who specializes in property law is of paramount importance. The biggest mistake you can make in signing a purchase contract made by the developer, well, actually this is common in Cyprus, as some of the developers advertise that will help the clients to save on legal costs. That is, instead of giving proper discount to you. These kind of contracts made by the developers are unlikely to protect the buyer and are generally heavily biased in the developer's favor. The lawyer must have the appropriate professional indemnity insurance, and of course you have to agree the fees in advance and in writing. We have to be open, transparent, so even when it comes for us the lawyers, please feel comfortable, and you should do that. Everything has to be in writing. Due diligence by the lawyer. Your specialist, lawyer of course, must check and advise you on many matters to ensure that the property is not subject to ownership disputes. You should be well aware that in Cyprus you have the concept of swap deal or antiparki, where the owner of a land has a piece of land, he gives the land to the developer builds, and both of them are selling. So you need to know who is the seller, who is the vendor at all the times. Of course, you have to check all license, and please don't listen to rumors and to gossips that in Cyprus we do things differently. Well, we don't. We follow the rules, and your lawyer must guide you through this. Your lawyer must make sure that the seller is the actual vendor. This is of paramount importance. And of course, for full due diligence on the vendor and on his company, the lawyer should perform. We need to go to the company registrar to check on the developer. So this is something of paramount importance for you. Land registry safety. Well, it is known that the land registry system is one of the best administrative systems in the world. This is something that started with Napoleon the Great, and then we had the Ottomans, and the final icing on the top came by the British. And Cyprus probably has one of the best land registry systems in the world. Your lawyer must deposit your contract at the land registry. You have to make sure that all licenses are in place. Check on any encumbrances and charges on the property. Going beyond that, you need to understand that on the financial and banking issues, a reservation and any other payment should be made through or by the approval of your lawyer. This is to ensure that if there is any problem during the process, you will get your money back. So make sure that the money lies with somebody that you do trust. For any transactions in Cyprus, you do need to understand that full KYC or know your client and all the anti-money laundering procedures have to take place. Get ready, ladies and gents, that you do have to provide all these original documents at a certain stage, and more or less do it at the very beginning. If the client is investing on a resale and there are no title deeds, you must make sure that there is a waiver in place. Waiver is a very tricky thing, and when you have a waiver and you have to make a payment, you should be very, very careful to read the terms and paying according to where it's stated on the waiver. If you don't pay according to the rules and regulations of the waiver, that waiver has no value at the end of the day. Payment on the contract to be double checked by your lawyer, and your lawyer should be able to help you to remedy and rectify any snagging issues through the last payment mode. If you are getting a loan, the lawyer must check the agreement, of course, with the bank. And through your lawyer, please double check the interest, pays, and margin rates. Always keep receipts from developers and specialists, as you may need this in the future when you're going to go through your tax clearance purposes. Of course, through all this, we have to notify you that there are hidden costs. It is important to calculate everything before you invest. And I will give you a few examples, and at the end of the day, I will pay more attention in one of them. VAT, we know that VAT in Cyprus is 19%, but when you invest and it's your first purchase, you pay only 5%. Transfer fees, which are now discounted, stamp duties, immovable property taxes, sewerage system, civil engineers or architects to confirm the stage payments during the mode of payment, communal and management fees, and generally, ladies and gents, all terms and all items that have to be paid by the sellers before the property transferred to the buyers. Now, regarding to the VAT, if you purchase a property with 5% VAT, means that you cannot sell within the next 10 years, or if you do sell, a proportion of the VAT will be paid accordingly, or since it's going to be your permanent residency, or if you apply for permanent residency, you are not allowed to rent it. If you do rent it, and the government finds out, and they will find out, or our government will find out, they will come and ask you to pay the full VAT back. So if somebody is spending 300,000, 400,000 euros plus VAT, that 14% will come and find you on the end of the day if you try to avoid the taxes. Reservation. Purchasers are asked to pay reservation fee to the vendor. We will ensure that all important points are in writing again, and here the lawyer should confirm the following. The date, mode of payment, cash or check, should be noted on that reservation form. How much was paid for reservation? Confirm the full purchase price and the mode of payment on the contract. And of course, confirm when this reservation is refundable and confirm when reservation is not refundable. Ladies and gents, transparency. You should, and we as professionals, we should put everything in writing. Purchasers are recommended to ensure that all points negotiated with developers, sellers, lawyers, and agents are going to be on your private personalized contracts with them. Particularly, any agreed extras on the property, such as pools, air conditions, have to be on a separate, in writing, and be aware this should not be on the contract because the VAT on these items is 19% and not 5%. Cyprus wills. Well, in order to avoid issues of probate, you have to be proactive. The law of Cyprus governing the immovable property, the law of Cyprus governing all immovable property prospects, we include an element of forced heirship. What does it mean? Touch wood, if I pass away, and in my will it states that all my property will go to Liverpool Football Club, then only 25% of that wishes, of my wishes will become through according to the will. The rest of 75% will go to my family, and they have to be spread equally. So have that in mind, that you have to state the origin and the system that you prefer to prevail. Management of projects. There is a power vested to the committees to manage correctly and adequately the projects so you get the best results towards your investment. It is your obligation. It is the obligation of the owners to form a committee. It's not your right. So getting involved with a lawyer which has an experience on this subject surely gives you an advantage. Finally, and not least, title deeds. Here you do need to get the best possible advice. Getting a property without title deeds in Cyprus is dangerous, but surely can make you a very good investment if your lawyer is familiar with the procedures and with the proper due diligence, so you can be advised on the opportunities arising. When people are looking for an opportunity, as times as this is an area to seek assistance. Ladies and gents, most of the potential problems encountered when buying property in Cyprus can be avoided if the above pitfalls are considered. So we gave you a list of 10. I'm sure there are many more. We are ready to discuss the rest. But above all, it is of paramount to obtain independent legal advice from a competent, qualified lawyer. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Giovanni. I kept a few things of what you said, and I agree. Representing Michael Ciprianou and Co-LLC, open, transparent, efficient, and everything written. Because as law firms, as people and professionals that represent values of justice and honesty, we need to lead by example and excellence. Thank you very much for this beautiful presentation.
Thank you so much.
And we are going to move now to the tax incentives for both individuals and legal entities with respect to relocating to Cyprus. The speaker is Charalambos Meivatsis, who's a partner and the head of tax, accounting and VAT at Kinanis LLC. Charalambos is a qualified lawyer and member of the Cyprus Bar Association and a qualified chartered accountant, member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of England and Wales, as well as a member of the Cyprus Institute of Certified Public Accountants. With more than 15 years of experience, he acted as tax advisor and performed financial and tax due diligence in numerous M&A deals, as well as banking and financing transactions, addressing all issues with a holistic approach by combining his legal and accounting backgrounds. And he also assisted a number of multinational organizations in setting up and relocating their regional headquarters in Cyprus. Charalambos, the floor is yours. I have your presentation and I will share, ladies and gentlemen, my screen with you so you can also enjoy this lovely
Thank you, Paola. Maybe if you press the top here for the presentation to be in full screen. Excellent. Thank you very much, Paola, for the introduction. In this presentation, we'll go through the main tax and other benefits for companies and individuals relocating to Cyprus. A suitable jurisdiction to set up regional headquarters and relocate your business and your employees must have a business-oriented legal system, must provide the ability to set up business substance efficiently, offer an attractive taxation system for both companies and individuals, and of course, have a nice and healthy environment. By the end of this presentation, we hope that we will persuade you that Cyprus is a competitive jurisdiction that meets all of the above requirements. We'll start by mentioning the taxation benefits for corporations, regional headquarters in Cyprus. Next slide, please. Thank you. In order for a company to enjoy the benefits of the Cyprus tax system, must be regarded as a Cyprus tax resident. To achieve this, the management and control of the company must be exercised in Cyprus. Management and control is exercised by the board of directors. Therefore, the board of directors must be in a position to run the business, must have the capacity and knowledge to run the business, and this should be done in Cyprus. The normal corporation tax rate is set at 12.5% on any resulting net profits. However, an effective taxation can be lowered since some types of income are exempt and some are taxed at a lower rate. dividend income, for example, is fully exempt from income tax, and only in very rare cases is taxed under special defense tax. This is very important for regional headquarters, because as the headquarters, you will have subsidiaries in other jurisdictions here in the region from which you will receive dividends. This dividend income that you will receive will not be subject to any taxation in Cyprus. Further, any profit from the disposal of titles is also exempt from taxation. The definition of titles is wide. It includes shares, bonds, units in funds, and many others. Again, for a headquarter, this is very important, because if you decide to dispose one of your subsidiaries in one region, any profit generated from this disposal will not be taxed. Royalty income from qualifying IP assets, such as patents and computer software, can be taxed under the Cyprus IP box regime with an effective taxation of as low as 2.5%. Capital gains tax applies only on the direct or indirect disposal of immovable property situated in Cyprus and is subject to a 20% taxation. Also, in terms of expenses, any expense incurred by a business wholly and exclusively for the production of taxable income, that expense reduces the taxable base. Therefore, the taxable profit is the overall income that is taxed less the tax allowable expenses, and that amount is taxed at 12.5%. There are no withholding taxes on outgoing payments of dividends, interest, and royalties. A regional headquarters will accumulate the profits from the business in the region, and at some point might want to distribute some of the profits to the shareholders situated abroad. When the payments of dividends will be made from Cyprus to the foreign jurisdiction, there will be no withholding taxes deducted at source. As stated previously, Cyprus has a very wide network of double tax treaties that enables the receipt of dividends, interest, and royalties from abroad with nil or low withholding taxes. In addition, Parent Subsidiary Directive and the Interest and Royalty Directive of the European Union are fully transposed into local legislation. This means that the regional headquarters in Cyprus can extract dividends from jurisdictions either in EU or in jurisdictions with which we have a double tax treaty, and enjoy low or zero withholding taxes on those payments. In addition, there is the ability to claim tax credit on any taxation paid abroad, provided that the specific income is taxable in Cyprus. For example, if you receive dividend income, which is subject to withholding tax in a foreign jurisdiction, you are not able to claim tax credit because in Cyprus, dividend income is not taxed. If you are receiving, on the other hand, interest income, which is taxable in Cyprus, any withholding tax paid abroad will be claimed as a tax credit in Cyprus. And this ensures that no double taxation is applied to any specific income. We move further to the taxation of individuals. Yes, Paula, you can go to the next slide. In order to enjoy the benefits of the Cyprus tax system, you must become a Cyprus tax resident, as we said. To achieve this, for individuals, you either need to spend 183 days in Cyprus, or provided that you do not spend more than 183 days in any other jurisdiction, you are not considered as a tax resident of another jurisdiction, you own or rent property in Cyprus, and you are an employee or a director of a Cyprus company, then you can become a Cyprus tax resident by spending 60 days in the island. Tax resident individuals are taxed in Cyprus on their worldwide income. Next slide. Resident individuals enjoy low personal income tax rates, with the first 19,500 euros of taxable income being exempt from taxation. Gradual rates then start from 20% up to 35% for taxable income of above 60,000. As an estimate, if an individual will have taxable income of around 100,000 euros, the effective taxation is close to 25%. Employees have to pay social insurance contributions at the rate of 8.3% and NHS contribution at the rate of 2.65%. Contributions to social insurance and the NHS, along with any payments to approved pension funds, health and life insurance premiums, are deductible for the calculation of an individual's taxable income. However, these deductions cannot be more than 1/5 of the taxable income. Dividend income, as we said, for corporations, the same for individuals, is exempt from taxation, but for residents, resident individuals are taxed under special defense tax at the rate of 17%. This taxation does not apply to resident but not domiciled individuals, which we'll see in the following slide. Any profit from the disposal of titles, such as shares, bonds, ADRs, units of funds, options on titles, is exempt from taxation. Capital gains, the same as corporations, applies only on the direct or indirect sale of immovable property situated in Cyprus. Foreign pension income may be taxed at a flat rate of 5%, with the first 3,420 euro being tax-free. Of course, the pension has the option to choose to be taxed under the normal taxation rates. So depending on the level of pension income, you need to do the maths and decide which is more beneficial to you, if you're going to do with a 5% flat rate or go with the first 19.5 being tax-free and then starting from 20% and going up. Individuals that are residents of Cyprus can also enjoy the benefits of the double tax treaties and enjoy zero or reduced withholding taxes on income received from abroad. Next slide, please. Foreign individuals relocating to Cyprus who meet the residency requirements, as we mentioned before, will have the residency but not domicile status. The dividend income and passive interest income received by such individuals will be fully exempt from taxation, both income tax and special defense tax, for a period of 17 years. This is a huge advantage because if you have a high net worth individual that who is receiving dividend or passive interest income from any jurisdiction, any type of entity, he can declare it in Cyprus in his personal tax returns and suffer no taxation. This is a huge, huge advantage. Rental income will be exempt from special defense tax for resident but not domiciled individuals, but it's going to be taxed under income tax at the normal rates. Next slide, please. When setting up regional headquarters, it is often the case that employees are being relocated to Cyprus to run the business from here. These employees can enjoy a tax exemption of 50% of the taxable income derived from employment in Cyprus, provided that they receive at least an employment income of 100,000 euros per annum. This exemption does not apply if the employee was a Cyprus tax resident in the preceding tax year, or at least 3 out of the last 5 tax years before the commencement of employment. The exemption is applicable for a maximum of 10 years. We can mention on the previous slide that this applies to Cypriots that spend considerable time in the UK studying or working for many years. If they were not tax residents at least 3 out of the last 5 tax years before the commencement of employment in Cyprus, they will be able to enjoy this benefit as well. And to the final slide, Paola. Benefits other than taxation includes the legal system in Cyprus, which is based on the English common law system. English is widely spoken with many persons receiving higher UK education in UK universities, and this allows entities that move to Cyprus to be able to attract quality local employees to utilize them in work in their headquarters. There are very low crime rates, good healthcare systems, both public and private, top quality English-speaking schools that prepare students for A-levels that can lead to admission of UK universities, and of course, the nice weather and the enjoyable nature. All this can be used to persuade top or middle management to relocate from the UK, in our case, to come to Cyprus, have all the benefits, the taxation benefits, the chance to live in an island with the quality of life being better than living, let's say, in a big city, and raise up their families and have a good job and enjoy their lives. Thank you very much. I'll be happy to take any questions during the Q&A session. Paolo, back to you.
Thank you very much. It was very, very interesting. And I do believe that, and I agree with you that Cyprus has a lot more to offer to all the people that choose to relocate and come here either permanently or to relocate their business. So I'm glad to see that a beautiful presentation has taken place, and it relates to the next topic that we will have from Panagiotis Vladimiru on behalf of Domenica Group. And his subject is relocation, holiday homes, and living in Cyprus. And allow me to say a few words about Panagiotis, who's the business development manager at Domenica Group. Due to the diverse role that he holds in the company, Panagiotis has a lot of experience in both B2B or B2C interactions on local and international level. And one of his key responsibilities is to develop and maintain relationships with Domenica's valued partners and clients. The demanding nature, of course, this role requires constant improvement, and this is something Panagiotis thoroughly believes. He's an excellent listener, and he always strives to provide tailor-made solutions to every client's needs. Most importantly, he's proud to represent Domenica Group, one of the largest and oldest development groups in Cyprus, a trusted partner that works with the same passion, honesty, and professionalism since 1961. Panagiotis has prepared a nice presentation for us. Allow me to share my screen with you so you can also enjoy it. Just a second. So, Panagiotis, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Paula, for the beautiful introduction. Hello, everyone. I would like to thank you for being with us here today, and I would like to also thank the UK and Cyprus Business Association and Mr. Kyriakis for organizing it, and also the rest of the co-panelists for their valuable insights. Together we'll cover the unique characteristics of Cyprus, the reasons why British prefer Cyprus, and then I'll introduce you to Domenica Group. Through the years, Cyprus was always an important business hub because of its strategic location. But it's not only that. Also the Mediterranean climate, the beautiful beaches, we have the most blue flag beaches per coastline, the delicious foods, the famous Mediterranean cuisine, established Cyprus as a very popular tourist destination. With an easygoing life, Cyprus is not very crowded, but at the same time is safe, and for these reasons is considered a very popular place to live and grow up a family. For a long, long time, Cyprus was one of the quality options for British during their holidays, and still is and will always be, because British can distinguish quality destinations, first-class accommodation, excellent food, rich heritage, culture and tradition. At the same time, here they feel welcome and they feel like home. Indeed, Cyprus has been fulfilling this dream for many years, so it was inevitable for a lot of British to select Cyprus for their retirement for numerous reasons. And it's not only people who retire that choose Cyprus as their new home, but also younger couples who they appreciate the quality of life while they can provide to their children a safer environment to grow up and at the same time enjoy very good standard of education, having in mind that a lot of our private institutions are linked with the UK ones, offering the same or similar degrees. I think, Paula, you are rushing a bit. No worries, no worries. I will catch up. Especially after Cyprus became a member of the European Union, investing on the island has become very attractive. And having the lowest corporation tax in Eurozone, there are a lot of opportunities in energy, tourism, shipping, real estate, education, healthcare, and many more. Let's move on slides. Now, why British choose Cyprus? First of all, by being an ex-British colony, we have a lot of similarities. We both drive on the correct side of the road, the left. English language is widely spoken. Apologies if I'm repeating myself, if I'm saying things that have already been told, but I'll be brief. My English is widely spoken, which makes it easy to communicate. In fact, a lot of British who may live in Cyprus for years without knowing a single word in Greek. Also, the legal system, as was mentioned before, in Cyprus is mainly based on the English judicial system, and we are both members of the Commonwealth, and in general it feels here like home, but in a much more enjoyable and warmer climate. This is one of the reasons why we have the largest British community in the Middle East with more than 40,000 expats. At the same time, the crime rate is low, and a lower cost of living in comparison to the UK and other European countries makes Cyprus a more favorable destination to relocate. Also, having one of the most attractive tax systems that were very well explained by Mr. Razis is another important factor to consider. At the same time, the conditions in Cyprus are ideal in many other ways. Having the second best climate worldwide with 320 days of sunshine. Unfortunately, today is raining, by the way, but it's a different story. We are voted year after year as the country with the cleanest bathing waters in Europe. The pollution levels are low. Cyprus are known worldwide for their genuine and sincere hospitality and friendliness and our easygoing lifestyle. Food, of course, couldn't be out of this list as the Cypriot cuisine, which is based on the Mediterranean diet, makes everyone to fall in love with. Our healthcare system, public and private, proved during these difficult times that it has high standards and is doing really well in comparison to other countries. Last but not least, there is a plethora of activities that someone could enjoy on the island, from golfing, hiking, cycling, sightseeing, any kind of water sports, and many more. What's very interesting about Cyprus is that you could go to the beach for your morning swim, and within 30-40 minutes, you could be enjoying a nature trail on the mountains. This is the beauty of Cyprus. Everything is so close to each other. Now, regarding Cyprus key industry sectors, as was mentioned before, 12.5% corporation tax, this magic number, assist in industries such as tourism, shipping, education, banking, to establish Cyprus as an international business hub. Now we have a new sector, an emerging sector, energy, which gives Cyprus a fantastic opportunity to thrive in yet again another sector. Paula, yes, thank you. So, having said all that, I believe it's time to redefine the return on investment, because the return is not only money, it's not only income. You will get that in Cyprus, and that's for sure. There are some kind of returns that we gain in life which have a different value, and quality of life, the blessing of living a good life, you and your family, I believe it's an extra return on your investment. In fact, I believe it's the best return on your investment. I would like now to introduce you to Paphos. Paphos is our base, where the sun sets over the water. It's considered as a cultural UNESCO World Heritage Site, and actually it's the only city on Cyprus that the sun sets over the water, offering memorable moments and fantastic views. In 2017, Paphos was chosen as the cultural capital of Europe. Apart from its natural beauty and culture, there was one main reason why. Because Paphos is promoting global citizenship. With a long history of more than 10,000 years, you can find on the Paphos regions thousands of archaeological sites and monuments. And you can see that culture and tradition is combined smoothly with the cosmopolitan lifestyle. At the same time, Paphos is the most popular tourist destination, having 12-month season. And it's considered the most beautiful, and at the same time, it maintains its traditional character. It is ideal for permanent living, and we have in Paphos more than 44 different nationalities that studying in our schools. It's safe to say that Paphos is considered a big multicultural family that people are living together peacefully side by side. And in short, here in Paphos, everyone is welcome. I would like now to introduce you to our group. Dominican Group has a long history of 6 decades. We are one of the oldest and largest development groups in Cyprus, based in Paphos. We are a second-generation family in business, and our history goes hand in hand with the history of the Republic of Cyprus. We have delivered throughout the years more than 450 projects, from schools to hotels and other commercial and residential developments of every scale. All of our projects are self-financed, free from any encumbrances, and at the same time we can offer sensible prices and we could be flexible with the payment terms. We employ more than 480 people across 7 different companies that are offering any kind of service around real estate. Under the umbrella of our group, we have companies that are involved in construction, developing, property management, hotel management, property rentals. And at the same time, we own and run 4 hotels, 2 in Paphos and 2 in Ayanaba. I would like now to share with you some of our projects. All of you could just click and let it play on auto, this slide. Our group offers a lot of solutions, a lot of properties in all the good locations, for every budget, and for clients who want to have their holiday home or permanent home, or even for those who would like to invest on a residential or a commercial property. All areas are carefully selected to meet every need, every taste, and every budget. Our philosophy is to have a bit of everything everywhere. The beauty of Paphos is that everything is so close. There are 6-7 different locations, each one of a different character, unique, but so close to each other. You are near the sea, and in just 10-15 minutes you can be on the hills. Also, we always try to have properties in every construction stage, from off-plan, halfway through, or completed, in order to cover the needs of different clients, whether they would like something ready to move in quickly, or whether they would like to design their own house according to their own taste, or even delay completion because of their financial or personal reasons. I believe by now you've got a taste of our projects, of what we offer to the market. As I mentioned before, we try to have a bit of everything everywhere in order to meet any criteria. Of course, our in-house architectural department can assist you to design the house of your dreams, the way you like it, and at the location you choose. So I would like to thank everyone for watching this presentation. I hope you found it very informative and constructive. And I will be at your disposal to answer any of your questions during the allocated time at the end of this webinar. Paula, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Panayotis. It was a very beautiful presentation indeed, with many beautiful images that do make us proud as Cypriots. I mean, it's very nice to know that, I mean, we have many companies that they are in construction and in development. Each one has its own characteristics, its own vision. And when we present ourselves abroad, like in this case, it's always a privilege to get to know more of upcoming projects, of the vision, of the values of the company. And it indeed makes us proud to be able to show this to the rest of the world. And of course, to get to know each other a little bit better through our work. So last but not least, for today is Mrs. Xenia Neofitou, the director at CX Financia Limited. And she's going to be talking about alternative investments. And she has created a very nice presentation, but allow me to say a few words about Xenia, as she holds a Bachelor's of Science in Accounting from the University of East Anglia, Norwich in UK. She's a fellow chartered certified accountant, a member of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Cyprus, and an advanced license holder by the Cyprus Securities and Exchange Commission. She's also a registered mediator in financial disputes with the Cyprus Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the Cyprus Ministry of Justice, and the Financial Ombudsman of the Republic of Cyprus. She has extensive experience in all aspects of corporate services, company law, international taxation, and financial and regulatory compliance. She is adept in matters of pertaining to Cyprus company law, Cyprus tax and VAT law, banking, requirements for maintaining a Cyprus company in good standing, and has strong accounting and audit experience related to both Cyprus and foreign companies. Xenia has substantial experience both in advisory capacity and hands-on operations as CEO and member of the board of directors and risk committees of a number of regulated investment firms in Cyprus. It is with this background and experience that ultimately led to the founding of CX Financia Limited. And I have to say that looking at Xenia's presentation a few hours ago and having a look last night, so I myself wanted to be well prepared, I am glad that she's also mentioning as alternative investments and opportunities, the film incentives that Cyprus has recently promoted, because the world of arts and the world of theater especially is one of my favorites, and I do hope that we will see more projects. I will be sharing my screen now, and Xenia, the floor is yours. I will mute my microphone.
Okay. Hello, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to participate in this webinar. And Paola, thank you for the nice introduction. Today, as you mentioned, I will be discussing with you the key growth sectors in Cyprus and giving more emphasis to alternative investments. A few words now about the current status in Cyprus and the COVID-19. Like many economies worldwide, Cyprus has also been affected by COVID-19. As a response to the crisis, the government committed financial resources and introduced measures targeted to support businesses and vulnerable groups of the population, as you can see in the slide, the size of this commitment. The negative climate that current recession brought about gave rise to new trends that are expected to shape investment decisions in a post-COVID world. Following the lead of other European countries, potential expansion into evolving sectors such as the digital economy, energy, and logistics may provide the answer. Possible solutions for revitalizing the economy are attracting foreign investment as a priority, revisit the strategy and diversify its economic model beyond tourism, real estate, and expand into evolving sectors such as the digital economy, energy, and logistics, and structural reforms, including bureaucratic fast-tracking for businesses, administrative reform, and judiciary reform, some of which are currently underway. Moving to the next slide. Despite the pandemic, investors feel that Cyprus remains an attractive investment destination. Main factors include its unique location, situated at the crossroads of Europe, Asia, and Africa, its EU membership, a corporate tax rate of 12.5%, a common law jurisdiction, ease of doing businesses on the island, weather, approximately 340 days sunshine on the island, and good quality of life. Now, moving to the key growth sectors in Cyprus. Please note that these are not in any particular order. It's namely a list of the sectors. In terms of the key growth sectors, as mentioned, tourism and real estate remain one of the most important sectors. This year, they have suffered COVID-19, but are expected to revive in the coming year and accelerate further in 2022. Now, let's have a closer look into sectors 2 through 7, as we have limited time and we sort of covered the rest before. Okay, moving to the next slide, research and development. Currently, trends point towards the growing importance of technology. During this crisis, more and more people embrace the digital world. We are doing a Zoom seminar now. In an effort to diversify its economy, Cyprus made a considerable push to foment innovation in business, entrepreneurship, and an environment conducive for startups. As a result, funding is widely available to both local and foreign entrepreneurs looking to chase their dreams of innovation on the island. Incentives for entrepreneurs include the Cyprus Entrepreneurship Fund, the Horizon 2020, which is a European also incentive, CySec Innovation Hub, and additionally, Cyprus offers its own startup visa, allowing non-EU citizens to set up on the island, and the fast-tracking activation mechanism, which offers accelerated procedures for the incorporation and re-domiciliation of companies. Moving to the next sector. Cyprus is increasingly gaining momentum among tech multinationals when it comes to choosing their location to establish international and regional headquarters. As a thriving international community, the island is home to a number of global ICT companies, as you can see in the slide, using the island as a hub for software development and system integration, while servicing clients in Europe, Middle East, and North Africa and beyond. Cyprus' attractive intellectual property regime is an additional focus for selecting Cyprus. Now moving to the financial services industry. The investment fund sectors in Cyprus has grown exponentially in the past years. During the second quarter of 2020, recorded a 5.3 increase compared to the first quarter of 2020, and increasing by 200% compared to 2016. The newly introduced registered alternative investment funds, or RAIFs, has strengthened the Cypriot fund sector, as it has decreased the time and cost required to set up an RAIF in the country. For investment firms, Cyprus has been the jurisdiction of choice for more than 20 years, especially for Forex and CFD brokers. An excellent infrastructure and an efficient regulatory framework only adds to the common benefits. Common advantages in the financial services industry are the modern legal framework, which is in line with all the latest EU regulations, low cost among competing jurisdictions, the professional level of professional services offering, and tax incentives, including special rates on employment remuneration, reduced corporate tax under criteria, and no administration fee are just a few. Finally, the prospect of a no-deal Brexit has seen an increase in the financial services companies and fund managers looking at Cyprus as a low-cost European. Now moving to the shipping industry. Cyprus is renowned international shipping center in one of the largest merchant fleet globally and the largest ship management center in the EU. It is also home to some of the world's leading names in the global shipping industry, thanks to its advanced maritime infrastructure. In the past 6 years alone, the registration of shipping companies that have registered with Cyprus' specialized shipping taxation system have increased by approximately 65%. Now moving to your favorite, Paula, filming industry. Continuing with the filming industry, Cyprus has attracted significant interest from the global community in the last 2 years, following the launch of the Cyprus Film Incentive Scheme. The scheme provides various incentives for film production companies by offering the filming industry an opportunity to shoot their films in idyllic location and stunning landscapes. Highlights of the scheme are a rebate of up to 35% on eligible expenditure and a tax allowance of 20% on eligible expenditure. In 2019, Hollywood producers visited Cyprus and declared their interest in building film studios in Cyprus. One of the productions which recently exploited the incentives offered under the scheme, and I invite you to watch it, is the Jiu-Jitsu film with Nicolas Cage in starring role. Moving now to the energy sector. Following the discovery of hydrocarbons in Cyprus' exclusive economic zone, the energy business sector in Cyprus has seen an increase from foreign and European investors. The energy sector is transforming, and the country is well posed to move from exploration to production and become a key energy hub in the region. Global energy giants such as Eni, Cogas, ExxonMobil, Noble, Total, Delek Group, the Royal Dutch Shell have all secured exploration contracts with Cyprus. The oil and gas sectors is undoubtedly set to become a key driver of economic growth, with Cyprus actively considering options to exploit its natural gas, hoping for higher revenues in the future. New opportunities are being created for a range of energy investments, including, among others, the Euro-Asia Interconnector, the Euro-Africa Interconnector, and the floating storage and regasification unit in Vasilikos. So, what's next? During the upcoming months, the country's immediate objective is to make sure the economy has sufficient liquidity and foster the measures required to jumpstart it. As shown by the impact of COVID-19 has had on the global economy, the world is starting to see more businesses pay greater attention to socio-economic investments that have significant impact on their local communities. Investing in healthcare, recycling, renewable energies, and depollution is something that is being taken a lot more seriously these days. With all this in mind, plenty of opportunities are now available if businesses step out of their comfort zones and allow technology to take the lead and guide them through these unprecedented times. Cyprus has traditionally heavily depended on a small number of sectors. It needs to revisit its strategy and diversify its economic model by opening up and encouragement in new sectors, including those where the well-educated and skillful local human capital can be put to use. Now, closing, a few words about us. We envision ourselves as empowering member of the business community, which helps leaders and shapers of business and finance in Cyprus with corporate governance matters. We help people with the establishment and management of companies, provide financial services licensing, consulting and compliance services, and a range of other corporate-related services such as legal support, GDPR audit, and consultancy and international tax planning services. You can reach our team of experts via phone, email, or Skype, and find more about us on our website at cxfinancia.com. Thank you, and I will be looking forward to your questions in the next section. Thank you, Paula. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Xenia. Indeed, it's very inspiring to see women that take the lead and leave their comfort zones and become creative, and they are evolving in this big world. Thank you for the very informative presentation. And Savas Kyriakidis and Mrs. Vasiliki Anastasiadis, Mr. Giovanni Panayotis, Charalambos, I would like to thank you all and proceed to the questions that have been coming in the chat. I can see a lot of them. The first question is about Brexit, and the person who asked, he said, if people with a British passport will need a permission from the Council of Ministers, I assume, to relocate to Cyprus, because the question was also in Greek. I will also read it in Greek. Λόγω Brexit, άτομα με αγγλικά διαβατήρια θα χρειάζονται άδεια από το Υπουργικό Συμβούλιο. So perhaps Mr. Giovannis would like to answer to this, or Mrs. Anastasiadou would like to answer to this. Giovanni?
Okay. Unless Mrs. Anastasiadou would like to take the floor, I'm ready to give my thoughts, and maybe Mrs. Anastasiadou.
We'll combine your thoughts. And
absolutely, it's a team effort here. Okay. After Brexit, which is going to take place on the 1st of 2021, UK is not going to be considered a EU state. So like any other country, like the Lebanon, like Russia, when people are investing, they will need to have the Council of Ministers approval in order to invest. So the same rules apply to these people. Now for people that they are already in Cyprus, and they do have a presence, and they do have a property, and they do enjoy other benefits, we are not certain what's going to happen, but we do expect that the government is going to be much more lenient. This is my thought.
Mrs. Anastasiadis?
If I may add, I'm sure that a special agreement between the two countries will take place in order to regulate the matters of visas between the two countries after the departure of, after the Brexit.
Thank you. The next question, well, it's not a question, it's a proposal to all panelists, of course. It's from Mr. Rithabile Brendan Mafata. He says, thank you for today's meeting. I'm Mr. Brendan from South Africa, also selling property and projects in Cyprus, and I would love to collaborate with you guys as we progress. I will make sure that I provide to all of you his contact details because it refers to all the panelists. And there's a question from Mr. Charalambos from Kinanis. For resident non-domicile status, what is the annual limit for days in Cyprus?
Yes, thank you very much. Basically, in order to become a resident but not domicile, you need first to meet the conditions of residency. As shown in my presentation, there are two ways to become a tax resident of Cyprus. You either spend 183 days in Cyprus, or we have what we call the 60-day rule, where if you are not a tax resident in any jurisdiction, you don't spend 183 days in any other jurisdiction, you own or rent property in Cyprus, and you are either an employee or a director of a Cyprus company, then you can become a Cyprus tax resident by spending 60 days in the island. So once you meet the conditions of residency, then whether you become a resident but not domicile depends on the rules of domicile. It's not a tax issue. However, generally foreigners that do not have the domicile of origin, being Cypriots out of origin, will be regarded as a resident but not domicile. Excellent.
There is one more question, Charalambos. Property transfer from parents to children. What are the rules, A, legalities for transfer, and B, tax implications on transfer?
Okay. Generally, in Cyprus, and this goes to the next question also, there are no inheritance, there's no inheritance tax. So any transfers on death are not taxable. And we are talking about resident individuals. Okay. Now, any transfer when the transferor is alive and is giving a gift to the kids, again, is not subject to taxation. Under some circumstances, there might be, if we are talking about properties, and maybe the people that deal with property can confirm it, in some situations there might be transfer fees applied, which sometimes are being returned. For example, if you are transferring a property that belongs to the father and is being transferred to a company that belongs to the kids, in that situation, you pay transfer fees, and if the shareholders of the company remains the kids for 5 years, then transfer fees are being returned.
Okay.
But other than that, there are no specific taxation on gifts from parents or inheritance taxes. All
right. There is a third question, but I think you have already answered it. Death of parents, is there any tax on asset on death of one or both parents? I think you said yes. There is no tax, if I understand.
There is no inheritance tax. Correct?
There's no inheritance tax. Very good. These are the questions. Okay. There is a question for Domenica from Ghana, actually. How can potential investors get a fast-track visa from Cyprus from Ghana? I'm a CEO of a company based in Ghana that has successfully relocated families to Cyprus through Domenica. Perhaps this is Panayoti. This is not the, there is no fast track right now as we knew it, but there are other options that I'm glad that you explored, that you presented, that everyone presented today.
Of course, from what I understand, yes, that wasn't actually a question. Really, it was just a comment statement. But yes, there are options available, and we have the product to offer to people all over the world for every budget, as I mentioned in my presentation. So from our job stops at the property, then the professionals take the lead and make all the necessary arrangements.
If we have any more questions from our attendees, please feel free to write your questions on the chat. But while we are wrapping up this beautiful webinar, very informative, spot on, many opinions, beautiful presentations, I would like to ask from all of you to summarize, let's say, the reasons on why someone should relocate or invest in Cyprus. With all this plethora of suggestions and information that you gave us today, where would you, let's say, direct a specific, let's say, idea or a suggestion? What would be the most important answer to the why for each one of you? What that would be? Let me start
Paula,
with, yes.
Paula,
Yes,
before we carry on to this question, there was one question raised for Mr. Kouzalis just before we start the presentation. So it's about some Russian people. So we better answer this question first, and then we summarize.
Well, we need to listen to the question first, so people are aware.
I will go through.
Yes, please.
Paula.
Yes, please.
It's a twofold question. First of all, it says procedure to buy property by third country nationals having temporary residency permits in Cyprus. Well, if the national is already in Cyprus and has a temporary residency, does not affect the purchase of a property. The procedure to buy the property remains exactly the same for any other third country national. If the gentleman has any more questions on the specific one, we will be more than happy to answer. Then it goes to a second part, stating that the procedure to get work permit by local companies in case of need for Russian-speaking employees. Okay, it is well known that if you need to employ somebody within the European Union, all European Union member states or citizens have the first opportunity, the first option. So if you want to employ somebody who does something very specific, you have to open a job vacancy at the labor office, advertise it, and say that I want somebody who can speak Russian, he has experience in Cypriot law, and he has also experience in what Panayotis is selling and what Haralambos is doing. If we can get somebody through the European Union, or mainly Cyprus at this stage, that can fit the purposes, then the company is obliged to recruit that person. If you cannot find somebody with a specific technical issues of the person that you want, then after a certain period of time, which I think is 6 weeks, then you can start to employ the specific person. That's my notes, unless anybody from my team would like to add on it.
Very well explained, thank you. There is Haralambos, there's another question about child with a British passport, then parent, Cyprus resident, British national, property transfer to individual, not to company. Is it best to transfer when all parties are alive or wait until death?
The property is in Cyprus, the best. His partner, the parent, Cyprus resident. As I said, the transfer from a child, from a parent to the child, is not subject to any taxation or transfer fees. So it can be done now, when all parties are alive. There's no.
Very nice. Yeah, I think we've explained it. The gentleman is also asking, he says that if this is too much, he can speak to you one-on-one offline. So as soon as we have the information, the communication details, I will forward it to you, Haralambos. And there's also another question: how do we attract clients and investors from South Africa? And also third country individual with temporary visitor visa in Cyprus, but there is no question in that sentence. So there seems to be, okay, third country individual with temporary visitor visa in Cyprus, does he need to get a prior approval by Ministry of Interior to purchase a property in Cyprus? So
we follow the rules, if I may say so. We follow the rules that they're typical and on a daily basis. Usually the investor purchases a property and launch a contract in the land registry, which is not necessarily the right procedure right now, or the correct, the order procedure. And then you apply for the Council of Ministers. And it usually takes 1 or 2 months. It depends on which area you are. You don't need to have the Council of Ministers approval to purchase a property. But in order to register it on your name, yes, you need it. So the procedure is such: you invest, unless you know that you will have something negative and you won't get the approval of the Council of Ministers, which is more or less very administrative, doesn't go very much into detail. It's not like the permanent residency that they will check your they will check your criminal records. They will not go to these deep procedures. So it depends on the person, on the investor actually.
okay, there is a question for Ksenia. The gentleman says that I think the last lady presenting mentioned the fast track for investors' businesses. My question is for my UK clients: when the borders open again, what are the thoughts of the panel that a COVID test before traveling may extend to 5 days?
Okay, yeah, Paula, I see the question. He's asking about the fast track scheme for investors, the one I mentioned before. It's a recently introduced incentive in Cyprus. And like I said, this scheme, if they apply, there are eligible companies that can apply, and then they can get a speedy procedure to apply on the get the company incorporated. There is a single unit that takes care for them, and they can speed up procedure. Foreign interest companies can be eligible. There are certain criteria. They have to present like a budget to show they will have a minimum turnover of around 500,000 per year in the next 3 years. Or companies that are already existing in Cyprus and want to apply in this fast track scheme can also apply. Again, they have to show certain eligibility criteria, but this scheme is to help third country nationals get visas, get any kind of authority from the government through a targeted procedure, which it's a fast track for them, and it's a new incentive, and yeah, it will speed up a lot the process for people that want to come and invest here.
Also, an open question. I'm a British national. I work as a global consultant and live and work out of Dubai, the United Arab Emirates. Fees are paid into the United Arab Emirates. So what is the best way to relocate to Cyprus to avoid or minimize taxation?
It's a very general question. I mean, if the gentleman would like to work on, well, he's British. Actually, if he comes now, it's a bit early, which is nice. We avoid complication. But after the Brexit, he can go through the usual schemes. In these kind of cases, if he's a professional, he wants to offer his services, he's coming from UK, most likely the best possible way is to open an offshore company in Cyprus, invest 170,000 euros, and through that company can do work all over the world. Because if he goes for the permanent residency, he won't be able to work in Cyprus, but he can work somewhere else. So if he can make a more specific question, unless I didn't understand the concept of the question.
And also I would like to emphasize, it's not about avoiding tax, but tax optimization. So with the right tax planning and the right tax advice, definitely there are many incentives in Cyprus which he can see and get proper advice, and we can help him optimize his taxes, but no tax avoidance.
Of course. Mr. John Parsons says, makes a comment, and I'm sure that this is some food for discussion. He says, if the person who transfers the property to a UK national, they need to be careful that they are not considered UK domiciled. If they are, they will fall under the UK rules. I would just clarify that there would be no IHT in Cyprus. If you have any comment on that, or if you agree on that, I would love to hear your opinion.
If I can say something, yes, always in every transaction, we need to see both sides of the coin. We cannot see the Cyprus part of the transaction and ignore the UK part. So that's why usually in this type of issues, there are the cooperation between Cyprus advisors and UK advisors to ensure that we do not create any adverse tax situation in any of the jurisdictions. Paola, if I may
be excused, I know you have another engagement.
I need to go. Thank you very much all for this event. If there are more questions on subjects covered by me, I would be more than happy to address them on one-to-one sessions. I believe that you can obtain my contact details from the association, and I will be more than happy to reply any questions.
Of course. And
thank you very much, and sorry for leaving a bit early on this.
No, it's okay. You can go. You may be excused. You have another virtual engagement since you cannot have a physical one. Just letting you know that already attendees have asked for your presentations, and we will provide the presentations with your permission to them. So it was a pleasure having you, and wishing you good luck to your next virtual meeting.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Continuing to our panel, we have here for the startup visa scheme, for an individual founder category from third country national. There is also the possibility of co-founder who is the main investor, who is an EU citizen, or can only founder apply for the individual startup scheme while having EU individual co-founder? So Xenia, is this question for you perhaps for the startups? It's the startup visa scheme. So I think he's asking whether as a third country national that he doesn't belong into the EU, he can apply for this, or should the founder be an EU individual so as to be eligible to apply? Your microphone, Xenia, your microphone, please.
Yeah, no, this startup scheme, it also applies to non-EU under certain criteria. They will set up the company and apply. So it can be either with the co-founder EU, but also with the third country national. But there are certain rules that have to consider. But yes, that's why the scheme was for. Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Well,
if I can just supplement, agree first of all with Xenia, but I would like to say that the startup scheme has been incorporated in order to attract investors, and it gives a lot of incentives. So surely it applies for all the third country nationals. It goes without saying.
Very nice. Okay, so I think
because I live in the UK, and there is a false impression in the UK that buying something in Cyprus as a retirement house or a holiday house, it costs a lot. And I want Panagiotis again just to mention what are the minimum prices and that someone can find in the market buying a holiday house, or if he wants to a retirement house, to delete all these false impressions from the minds of the people in the UK, because maybe some wrong marketing or something, we are concentrated on other kind of properties. If Panagiotis can mention again, just before we leave, about the prices of these houses, it will make an excellent opportunity for these people to understand that we have available some nice properties in low prices.
Thanks for opening this for me, Mr. Kyriakidis. Yes, because of the immigration programs before, the false impression was that only the properties were worth 2 million or 500,000 or 300,000. This is not the case. As a group, we have options starting from 160,000 on a new property, from apartments, even 300 or 250, 260,000 of villas. But I'm sure it's not just a new property. Someone looking to buy in Cyprus, they can find even below that level. Of course, there are different things to calculate when you are buying a new property and a second-hand property. You're getting the latest technologies, new materials, energy efficiency, etc., etc. But for sure, someone looking to purchase a holiday home or to relocate, depending on the size of the property they would like to have, they can.
Panagiotis, people are asking you 160,000 euro for a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom apartment.
We have both options.
Okay, and I'll go back. Thank you, Panagiotis. I'll go back to Xenia, because the gentleman who was asking about the startups, he popped another question. How much non-EU, how much money, the capital, the non-EU founder should have in personal capital for individual startup scheme, please?
Okay, there's an initial investment of 50,000 as a startup capital which may include capital funding, crowdfunding, or any other source of funding. And yes, the scheme an individual can apply, or a company can apply. And they have to have like a startup, it's a startup, and they have to have an innovative idea that they want to come to Cyprus. So if they fulfill this criteria and they have this innovative idea, there is an application where they can get it. So it has a lot of benefits for that, for the teams, and also for the individuals. They can get the European, get residency with this scheme, come and work in Cyprus for their scheme, and also qualify in the term to European grants as well. So yeah, that's the idea of the startup visa, is to attract innovators that want to start, that want to come to Cyprus, work and give their ideas and exploit further the European Union and.
Excellent. So once again, thank you very much for taking the time to prepare and be part of this webinar, answering questions to everyone. So I would like to close this and wrap it up with one last thought from each one of you about why should someone relocate and invest in Cyprus. Just 2 words, 2 lines. I will start from Savas Kyriakidis first.
Yes, thank you everybody for attending this webinar. I also want to thank again all the panelists and the sponsors. And we have another webinar on the 10th of December. So if you want to join us by then, I will have some announcements by email marketing and LinkedIn as well. And we hope that we keep the networking between the UK and Cyprus alive during this pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you. Xenia?
Okay, as mentioned in my presentation, Cyprus offers many choices for a potential investor. There are many unexploited sectors, but also growing sectors. And I would invite potential investors to look into these growing sectors and invest, because there are a lot of opportunities, especially for also people that want access to EU or to EU funding as well to set up their business here. There are a lot of opportunities. So yeah, that's in a nutshell. Yeah.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Mrs. Anastasiadou, your thoughts? Your microphone. We need you to please open your microphone. It's down on the left. You can press to unmute your microphone. Okay. Okay. You can. Okay, we can hear you now. We can hear you now.
Okay.
Yes.
Apart from all the reasons I mentioned before, why relocate to Cyprus, why develop your business in Cyprus, the location, the good climate, everything, I would focus on the people. I would focus on the people that are professionals, good professionals, true professionals, but also hospitable and warm people. And this will make your life easier in Cyprus, definitely.
Thank you. Mr. Giovannis?
Thanks again for the great opportunity to speak and to hear the lovely presentations of everybody. Thank you, Savas. Thank you, Pamela. Thank you, everybody. Surely, Cyprus is the closest vehicle for UK citizens to the European Union. Not only everybody speaks English here, the climate, but mostly because of the way things are done. Yes, we do have rules. Yes, we do follow the rules. And yes, there are professionals, that they are transparent, they can give the right service to the clients. What is important to understand is that we are the closest to the UK legal system, closest to the UK legal system. I think Panayotis said it, we are driving on the correct side of the roads. Yes, very correct, I agree. And surely what Mrs. Anastasiadou has just said now, the people investing from UK, when they come here, they will feel at home.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Panayotis, your thoughts?
First of all, thank you very much again for having me in this panel. I think most of the things were mentioned. I will only say, I will answer with a question. If anyone worldwide is looking for these 1-2 weeks out of the year to spend on a sunny destination, to feel happier and relaxed, why not choose Cyprus, which is this kind of destination, and you can make it your home? Why not make your holiday destination your home? So, yes.
Very nice.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I would like to thank you all, and on behalf of all of us here at Michael Kyprianou & Co. LLC, we would like to express our warmest thank yous and congratulations to Mr. Savas Kyriakidis for managing to organize another yet wonderful webinar. We also have fully fledged offices in London to help people that wish to relocate or invest in Cyprus. We have offices in Kiev, Malta, Athens, Thessaloniki, and Dubai, and of course in Cyprus, in all the big cities. And allow me to finish and wrap this webinar by something that I had the opportunity to say while representing Cyprus to the European Parliament in Strasbourg a few years ago. Cyprus is not just a good morning, a hello, and yasas. Cyprus is not only sunshine, but Cyprus, as Mrs. Anastasiadou said, most and above all, is its people and its values. And this is what we have to offer, and much more to people who would like to join our big multicultural family here on this beautiful island. Thank you, everyone. Stay safe, and I hope that we will meet soon on physical presence instead of virtual. And I wish you all the best and have a beautiful evening. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you and goodbye. Thanks.